Hi, good evening, everyone. Sorry, I was facing some issue today. The system was hanging again and again. So I want to go ahead and I want to begin by doing some maths question today onwards. And the topic that I want to go ahead and I want to cover today in maths is going to be all kind of functions, along with covering how to go ahead and how to find their range and their domain. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to do that thing through questions, right? The best way to understand maths is by doing some questions, solving them, and through those understanding the concept of maths. So the topic for the day is functions, set theory, domain and range. Okay. Question number 1 for the day. So you're given a function ln x minus 2 under root minus 5 minus x under root, and you have to find domain of the function, right? The options that you have are 2 to 5, 2 to 5, 2 to 9, 3.5 to 5. Give it a try. Find the domain of the function. So when you do this question, I'm writing some properties जो आपको याद होना चाहिए. You must remember those properties well. The first property is that you cannot take ln of 0. Okay. The second property is you cannot take ln of any negative number. Right. The third property is that because of the first two, whatever comes inside ln, जो भी यहाँ पे आएगा, whatever comes inside ln, that must be strictly positive. Whatever comes inside ln must be strictly positive. So these are some of the properties that you have to remember for a log function. Now keep these properties in mind and then solve. So we understand that whatever comes inside the log function must be strictly positive. Therefore, x minus 2 under root minus 5 minus x under root must be strictly greater than 0. So you get x minus 2 under root must be greater than 5 minus x under root, right? You want x minus 2 under root must be strictly greater than 5 minus x under root. Just solve this inequality, right? Once you solve this inequality, whatever numbers you go ahead and you get, that will be your answer. Just solve this inequality. Okay. You can also go ahead and write this inequality like this. X minus 2 under root upon 5 minus x under root greater than, I'm taking it here, greater than 1. Right? And if I square both sides, x minus 2 upon 5 minus x greater than 1. And I can take this 1 on the other side. X minus 2 upon 5 minus x minus 1 greater than 0. So x minus 2 minus 5 minus 6 upon 5 minus x greater than 0. X minus 2 minus 5 plus x upon 5 minus x greater than 0. 2x minus 7 upon 5 minus x greater than 0. Okay. Now this is a fraction. When is a fraction positive? A fraction can be positive if both numerator and denominator are positive. A fraction can be positive if both numerator and denominator are negative. Under these two circumstances, the fraction will be positive. These are the two circumstances which you will go ahead and get. So solving the first circumstance, 2 minus x greater than 0 and 5 minus x greater than 0, x greater than 7 by 2, that means 3.5, and 5 greater than x, so x less than 5. So if I combine these two, I get that x should be between 3.5 and 5. That's the first thing. The second one that I go ahead and I get is less than. So I get x less than 3.5 and 5 less than x. That means this x less than 3.5 and x greater than 5. So there is no common region. There is no common region, right? So we understand that this is the right one. This is where things make sense to us. Okay. Now, one thing that you have to go ahead and you have to see is that can I include 5 or not? Can 5 be included or not? Right? Because when we wrote it in the decimal form, numerator by denominator, this is coming in the denominator. And denominator has to be non-zero. But since the actual function is this, so when you go ahead and when you take x as 5, you get ln 5 minus 2 under root 3 minus 0. That means ln of root 3. So you will get some answer for this, right? Root 3 is 1.7. So ln of 1.7. You'll get some positive answer for this, which is making sense. So yes, from the actual function, we realize that yes, 5 can be included in the function. Right? So yes, all of you are correct. The correct answer will be this. Now, why I went through such a long step? Why not just solve it here itself? Mane, you could have gone ahead and you could have done things here itself. But why take this fraction and why they take this in this way? Because sometimes you may get a wrong answer. Believe me. If you don't take fractions and solve like this, if you don't take one on the other side, if you don't use this mechanism, sometimes you will end up getting a wrong answer. So be very sure that you do it in the right way. Even though this may be a bit time consuming, but you have to do it like this. Okay, next question. So you're given a function root x plus 4 minus x. Find range of function. You have to find the range of the function, and the options are so 2 comma 4, 2 comma 2 root 2, 2 comma 3, and 2 comma 2 root 2. Find the range of the function. Domain range is something very basic. All of you, not only abhi ke liye, because you're doing masters in economics बाद में, all of you should know how to go ahead and find domain and range. माने इसके बिना कोई भी क्वेश्चन या आगे कुछ भी एमए इकोनॉमिक्स करना वर्थ इट ही नहीं है if you don't know how to solve range and domain. This is 2 comma 2 root 2 but in open brackets. So to find the range of the function, you can go ahead and you can find the domain of the inverse of the function. That can be one method which you can apply. Find the domain of the inverse of the function. So give it a try. How about others? Anyone? This may not be the only method. You think of something else. You have to think of the values of y that you can get. Simple. What is range? Range is the value of y that you go ahead and get. When you put certain x, what y you go ahead and what y you get, that becomes the range of the function. So just think about it. But this is root. So property number 1, we know that anything which needs to be plugged inside root must be non-negative. माने if I have to plug something here, अगर मुझे यहाँ पे कुछ डालना है, तो I cannot put anything negative inside the root. So here I have to put something which is non-negative. Similarly, if I have to put something here, I cannot put something random. I have to put something non-negative. So from here I get x greater than equal to 0 and 4 greater than equal to x. माने x greater than equal to 0 and x less than equal to 4. So first thing I have understood is that the domain of my function, it is between 0 to 4. जो x का values इसके अंदर डल सकता है, the values of x that I can go ahead and I can plug inside this function, they will be anything between 0 to 4 इसके अंदर. ठीक है, because what x I can put inside it, it's inside root और root में I can only put non-negative values. अब आगे समझते हैं. Notice that since this is, this is a function which is having its domain defined between 0 to 4, I can check what values the function is taking at 0 and at 4. एक बार ये भी check कर लेते हैं. So second, if I check at 0 and at 4, root 0 plus 5 minus 4 minus 0. So root of 4 is 2. And at 4, so root 4 plus 4 minus 4 under root. That means 2 plus 0, 2. So we have got a very interesting fact. What interesting fact? My function looks something like this. कि it is defined only between 0 to 4. सिर्फ 0 और 4 पे defined है. और 0 पे इसका वैल्यू जो है वो 2 है. और 4 पे भी इसका वैल्यू जो है वो 2 है. So there are only two things that can happen with my function in between, right? If, oh, this balloons. Either the function can go like this. Either the function can go like this. Or the function can even go like this. ऐसे ही कुछ हो सकता है. ये दो तीन चीजें हो सकती है. माने the functional values that will happen, अगर वो ऐसा जाता है, that means the values of y will be above this 2. यहां पे ऊपर कहीं वैल्यू आएगा. अगर वो ऐसा जाता है, माने वैल्यूज ऑफ y विल बी या तो मैक्सिमम 2 होगा या 2 से नीचे रहेगा y का सारा वैल्यूज. Right? So what we can do in such case, once we have understood that at 0 it is 2 and at 4 it is 2, बीच में y का वैल्यू 2 से ऊपर है या नीचे है, वो निकालने का बेस्ट तरीका है we find the maxima and minima of the function. Right? So we go ahead and we differentiate the function. So if I go ahead, this is the last step, जिसमें you go ahead and you find maxima and minima of the function. For the derivative, you equate it to 0 and you get 1 by 2 root x is equal to 1 by 2 4 minus x under root. 2 and 2 cancels out. So 4 minus x under root is equal to root x. So you get x is equal to, you square both sides. So you'll get 2x as 4 and x will be 2. Okay, x will be 2. So when you will double differentiate the function, I'm leaving it to you, you will find out that this is less than 0. Because it's a root function, so I know. Because any root function, when you will be going ahead and you will be plotting it, it will come out like this, right? So we know how the root functions will look. So therefore, I know that it will be less than 0. Now, you find out the value of the function at 2. So when I find the value of the function, I will get root 2 plus root 2. That means 2 root 2. Right? 2 root 2. That means the function is attaining its maxima at 2 root 2. So what we have achieved now? We have achieved that the function is achieving its maxima at 2 root 2 and these must be the minimum values of the function. So all values of y lie between 2 and 2 root 2. So the answer will be 2 comma 2 root 2. This is how you can go ahead and you can solve this question. So usually whenever they ask you the range of the function, there are only 2-3 methods. Method 1 can be you draw a graph and check. Method 2 can be you find domain of the inverse of the function, which may not always be possible if the function is very complex. And method 3 can be you find the corner points, जैसे हमने अभी किया था, and maximum minimum of the function to know the value of the y. These can be the 3 ways in which you can go ahead and find the range of the function. Is it clear? Anyone, any other method you applied in this? Okay. So this is 1 by 2, x to the power minus 1 by 2, minus 1 by 2, 4 minus x to the power minus 1 by 2. You double differentiate it. So 1 by 2 into minus 1 by 2, x to the power minus 3 by 2, minus 1 by 2 into minus 1 by 2, 4 minus x to the power minus 3 by 2 into minus 1, because this is minus 1. So you get minus 1 by 4, x to the power minus 3 by 2. This is minus, minus, minus. So you get a minus 1 by 4. 4 minus x to the power minus 3 by 2. So there is a negative minus 1 by 4 which can be taken out common. 1 by x to the power 3 by 2 plus 4 minus x to the power 3 by 2. It's a negative, right? So less than 0. Okay, I'll zoom out. Let me know once it's done. SOBS is also fine. That's right. Can we take the next question? Is this even visible at this zoom level? Okay. So we'll go for the next question. Try this one, Find the range of fx is equal to 1 upon 1 plus e to the power minus x. 0 to 1, 0 to 1, 0 to 1, 0 to 1. Find the range of this. Range means the values that y will take. Okay. So think accordingly. Very easy. A, B, okay. So first of all, what we can go ahead and do is simplify this function. When you simplify it, you easily understand how this looks. So I'm going to rewrite this function as 1 upon 1 plus, because this is e to the power minus x, I'll get 1 upon e to the power x. So if I take common, it becomes e to the power x plus 1 by e to the power x. and this becomes e to the power x upon e to the power x plus 1. Now, once you have simplified this function, right? So the next thing is that you should know how these exponential functions look, right? Log or exponential ka graph should be on the tip of your mind, right? Tip of your head. So if I look at my exponential function looks like this. And if I look at my log function, my log function looks like this, right? That's why it's not defined at 0, because as this function goes, it's an asymptote at 0. Meaning you don't go towards 0. So when this is 0, you approach minus infinity. Okay. So we are talking about exponential function. Meaning here whatever value of x I would have taken, मैं x का कुछ भी value लेती, whatever value of x I would have taken, my y, so if I take any negative x, I can take negative values of x also, or I can take positive values of x also. कुछ भी value लूंगी, I will get my y, which will be here, which will be positive. So if someone would have asked me, giving this function, ki what is the domain of this function? Domain means what values of x I could have taken. So I could have taken the negative values of x also, या positive values of x. But the answer I would have got would be always a positive y. I would have, if I take positive x, तो भी positive y आएगा. Positive x, तो भी positive y आएगा. Negative x, तो भी positive y ही आएगा. I will always get y between this. Right? So y will be positive. But now, what has happened here is that this e to the power x is both in numerator and denominator. Just that in denominator, it is plus 1. Mane, if I go ahead and if I put say x as 0, so I get e to the power 0 upon e to the power 0 plus 1. Anything to the power 0, we know what it is. It is 1. So I get 1 upon 1 plus 1. It means I get 1 upon 2. That means I get 0.5. It will always be a fraction. क्यों हमेशा fraction होगा? Because in denominator, whatever answer you get, you add 1 to it. So the numerator is always less than denominator. Numerator is e to the power x. Denominator is e to the power x plus 1. So numerator is always less than denominator. So numerator by denominator is always less than 1. Right? Now, we have understood that thing. It will be always a fraction. Now, the question that only stands to apply is that can it be 0 or can it be 1? Mane 1 and 0 will be included or not? वही पूछना है. You have to ask that question. And to answer that question, it will be 0 if the numerator is 0. So it will be 0. This will take the value 0 if e to the power x will be 0. But e to the power x is never 0. You put any x, you get y which is positive. Right? You get y which is positive. It is not cutting the x-axis. The exponential function is, when will y ka 0 ka matlab kya hai? It is that value of x. When y is 0, it means you are cutting the x-axis. So when you cut the x-axis, right, at this y is 0. And when you cut the y-axis, at this x is 0. So it's not cutting the x-axis anywhere, right? It's not cutting the x-axis. So numerator is not 0. It's some positive number. It is something here, some positive number. It's not 0. So it means since the numerator cannot be 0, you're not including 0. And for the denominator to include 1, agar mujhe yahan pe, if I need this to be 1, denominator, if I want 1 to be included, mane I want numerator to be equal to denominator. Tabhi to fraction 1 banega. So I need e to the power x equal to e to the power x plus 1. Right? This is what I need. But is this possible? No. So it means 0 and 1s will not be included. Right? So all of you who answered it as A, that is the right answer. Okay. Why B? Why have you answered it as B? Why will 1 be included? It won't be included now. For 1 to be included, numerator and denominator have to be equal to each other. And that's not possible here. Right? For numerator and denominator to be equal, the denominator is getting +1 added to it. Okay. So next question. So although it's a limit question, I'm just including this here because if x is 0, isn't it 1 by 1? No, I just showed you, no? If x is 0, this is this function. Anything to the power 0 is 1. So it will be 1 upon 1 plus 1. That means it will be 1 by 2. Is it clear? Not always. Not always that will happen. I mean, just specific questions give you that range. Range can be minus infinity to infinity. So if my function is simply fx is equal to x, so x can take any value. And y will also take any value between minus infinity to infinity. Not always the range will be that. In this question, yes, it is between 0 and 1, both not included. That's right. Okay, so next question. So you're given that there is a function x to the power x for x greater than 0. Then limit x tends to 0. We'll take special class on limits. Just that I'm including this because it came as a question of functions. So limit x tends to 0, x to the power x equals 0, 1, e to the power -1 does not exist. Give it a try.